everyday thing. It's an everyday thing. It's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang.
Wait, my grandmother hated my dad so much that she ratted him out to the feds, made it look like my mom, and now my mom's not here anymore. All because my dad didn't want to give her money anymore. He stopped giving her money because she was being mean to my mom and was being weird with me, right? Soon as my dad stopped giving her money, our house started getting raided. We were raided so much that the feds would make comments about how much I had grown since the last time they raided our house. We was getting raided like crazy because my father was a serial pew-pewist who ran a lucrative operation in Philly in the early 90s. And both sides of my family are Jamaican, so you already know the vibes. Anyway, my dad has some intel in the police department, so he would know like when they was on his ass, right? So he had got information one time that the feds met up with some people, and one of them people was my mom, and they left that meeting with information. The other person in that meeting was my grandmother, okay? And she would do dumb shit like tell my mom meet her for lunch just because she knew my mom, they were estranged or whatever, and my mom really wanted a relationship with her mother, right? So she would just like bait her like that, and then my mom would show up for lunch and it'd be like all these FBI agents, they're trying to question my mom, and every single time she's like, I'm not cooperating because I got a child with this motherfucker and I know he ain't shit to me, but that's still her dad and I'm not with that shit. What pissed me off the most is that nobody gave a shit about her safety. All people cared about was getting him locked up, and all my grandmother cared about was getting some type of revenge over money that was never hers. And the lack of care for my mother and my own safety was very evident the night when everything went left, when we're trying to get into the house and some coked out Jamaican runs across the freaking alleyway and pushes us in the house. So I left off where a coked out Jamaican runs across the alleyway and pushes us into the house. And I swear, y'all, the way this played out, you could absolutely tell that it was a red rum for hire that's supposed to be staged as a robbery. But this cokehead messed it up. Anyway, he pushes us in the house and locks the door behind him. I completely freaked out and ran all the way upstairs to my room and hid under my bed. So I hid under the bed. I'm thinking I'm safe. Then I remember my mom is in the basement with this psycho. I start crying. Then I hear footsteps coming. I'm thinking it's my mom. I hear my door rattling and shit. Then boom, my door gets kicked open. It's him. He tells me to come out into the hallway and sit with my mom or whatever, right? So then he goes in her room. He starts flipping her whole room upside down. I'm talking this dude ransacked the whole shit. He threw all her sneakers out the closet, all her shoes, messed the whole closet up, was going through her drawers, talking about where's the money, really trying to make it look like a robbery. Since we got raided the first time, my dad stopped keeping money in the house, and my mom kept telling this fool who kept asking for money that she don't have none, and even offered to take him to the Mac machine, because that's what it was called at the time. It wasn't an ATM. We called it a Mac in the 90s. Yeah, hold on. Anyway, he comes back in the hallway, starts talking shit, turns around to switch out his mask, and I saw his face a little bit. Y'all, tell me why it's my cousin. So I left off at the part where he was switching out his mask and I saw his face a little bit. It was my father's nephew. So once I realized it was him, I wasn't as scared anymore, and I even went as far as picking up my lunchbox and slapping him in the back of his head with it. And he turned around like he was going to do something, but he stopped. And my mom was scared AF. Y'all should have seen the look on her face. Anyway, after he was done looking for money that we don't have, he pulled some shoelaces out my mom's shoes and tied me up and left me at the top of the stairs and took my mom all the way back down to the basement. Like 2 minutes later, they come back upstairs, right? And he making it sound like he about to leave. We about to be able to clean up and act like none of this ever happened. My mom said she wasn't calling the cops, none of that shit, right? He goes downstairs with my mom again, saying how she was just going to let him out the house or whatever. And my mom was like, I'll be right back, whatever. So I'm noticing, like, as they going downstairs, he turned the TV on in the living room and turned the volume all the way up. And not even 2 minutes later, I heard 3 loud explosions. So I ended up falling asleep very briefly. I wake up, I call my grandmother, she puts me on 3-way with the police send out somebody. Guess which cop is answering the call that night? Another cousin. Alright, so I left off at the part where one of the responding officers was another one of my cousins. This cousin had nothing to do with anything, but he was the one who discovered her body, and they found out that he was related to her, so he couldn't be there anymore. So he took me with him and his partner, and we went down to the police station. But we gonna jump ahead 6-7 years later from that night. It is now 2001, 2002, and I'm living in Jamaica. My father's a full-blown fugitive. He's America's Most Wanted, and the situation ended up on Unsolved Mysteries when it used to be on Lifetime. By this time, the feds are getting sick and tired of chasing this man all over the globe because they already hit up the Jamaican feds and was like, yo, this man right here, he is wanted AF. If y'all see him, detain him, hand him over to us so he could come back over here and answer for all the shit he's done. Because y'all, it wasn't just my mom. My father is a serial pew-pewist, right? He got mad bodies on him and he had a RICO. He's slick, so he's like 10 steps ahead of them. He done already paid off the Jamaican whoever was supposed to tell on him to not say nothing, and it worked. But unfortunately for him, the Colombians knew where to find him. Oh yeah, I left out the second reason why my dad wanted my mom out the picture was because he owed the Colombians some money, and he had 2 life insurance policies on my mom. One of his shipments that he was sending over to Cali for them got took about a month before my mom was unalived. That shipment in early 90s, at that time that had cost him a little bit over 100 grand. That's a lot of money today. That's damn near $1 million right now. They wanted his head and they went right to Jamaica to get it. Come back for part 5. So the Colombians finally catch up with my father, and I don't know what he said to them, but they didn't unalive him. And then they never saw him again after that. I know they regret that shit. Because after they decided to not unalive him so he could actually pay them back, he skipped the country and went straight to Europe. Him and his best friend. Now they hiding out in England and the best friend's getting tired. He got so tired he called the police on them. He's like, look man, I'm sick and tired of running. I'm such and such, I'm with such and such. Come get us. And let the US government know I will cooperate as long as I ain't got to spend too much time in a prison and they just deport me to Jamaica. US government's like, okay. When I say this man started singing like a canary, one of the first things we all found out when he started yapping was that my father unalived his nephew after everything went left because I wasn't supposed to be able to make him. So if anyone was wondering, his body was all along Maxfield Avenue in barrels. This was in like 1995, 96. Anyway, best friend yapping. I find out that the night my mother was unalived, that was the 3rd attempt on her life because best friend helped my dad find 2 people to do this, and both people took the money and dipped because they say they don't do that to women. The next thing we found out was what happened to the shorty who got the shipment for the Colombians took by the feds. Bruh, when I say my father did her so dirty. Yo, her family didn't even get to tell her goodbye. But when they got to what really went down with my mom, I was floored. So I left off at the part where my father's best friend snitched them out and got a deal with the feds. They were going to deport him to Jamaica as long as he told them everything they wanted to know, and that he did do. So my mom's situation is wild because since the best friends started chatting, I started figuring shit out. I found out that the reason my mom's side of the family was so rotten towards everybody after everything went down is because they was all in bed with my dad. Despite knowing that he was beating the fuck out of my mother every chance he got. He even essayed her. He pew-pewed whipped her too in the same incident. Essayed her, pew-pew whipped her. They all knew about it and no one gave a fuck. They was still moving weight for this dude. Nobody laid hands on him, nothing. Nobody did shit. All they did do was keep moving weight for this dude. Even my mom's older sister doing favors for him, such as escorting me to Jamaica. I'm only like 5-6 years old. My dad done cut out the lining of my suitcase, put 100 grand in it, sends me to Jamaica with her. He got all his shit set up at Montego Bay Airport to where I ain't gotta go through customs because his brother is a police officer and he was paying them off, right? So she flew me to Jamaica, handed me over to my uncle. I walk out the airport, this bitch go back around the other side to hop on the next flight back to Philly. But if you ask her about that incident today, she's gonna tell you that it never happened, or she didn't know that there was $100,000 in my suitcase. Y'all, I just realized, every time my dad would send me to Jamaica, every time I got down there, my uncle would drop me off at his mother, my dad's mom's house, that grandmother. I miss her soul. R.I.P. Grandma Inez. But anyway, they would drop me to the house and then take my luggage somewhere else and come back like 3 hours later with all my shit. She got snitched out. That aunt got snitched out by my grandma. My grandmother lied though. She told the feds that my aunt was a drug mule for my dad. She wasn't. She just did little favors and shit. But she took it too far because on a trip back from Jamaica after my mom had died, my aunt got pulled by customs. They strip searched her, cut the bottoms out of her shoes, ripped all her shit up because my grandmother told the feds while my aunt was in Jamaica that that's what she goes to Jamaica to do. And it wasn't true. So yeah, found out the whole family was in bed with my dad. They was all moving weight for him. Everyone got snitched out except for my grandmother's son. And people got pissed off about that to the point where they jumped this dude. They beat him so bad, one of his eyes almost popped out of his socket. I'm shocked this motherfucker can see 2020 today. But y'all, this ain't it. I've seen a lot of shit throughout my childhood, and it all started the moment I got on this earth because of my father. I'm not going to tell these stories on here anymore. Instead, I'm going to produce them in art form and put them on YouTube. If anybody wants to watch, go subscribe to Broad Street Karma right now. I'm letting out the first episode within a week. I see.
God damn. That's a crazy story. Ooh, hey, yo, check out Broad Street Karma on YouTube. Actually, you can see it at the bottom of the screen or on this thing. Hey, that's a crazy story, man. Shout out to this girl, man. I'm surprised they even let her live. But the dad and the dad's nephew, they some cold blood killers, man. Everybody is. But I don't know. That's too much life for me. I don't know. I don't understand that type of life. And in those type of lives, when you living like that, when you living wild like that, you never live a long life. It's never fun. You lose too many people. Too many people turn on you. Whether you lose your family by murder or you lose your family because they turn on you, you gonna end up alone every single time. You gonna end up alone. But shout out to this woman, Seven, the creator, man. Make sure y'all check out her YouTube channel because that was a hell of a story. I really want to look up the Lifetime, the Lifetime America's Most Wanted. Because Jesus Christ.